Jada Pinkett Smith has given the internet yet another quote that made people stop, blink, and say, "Oh, so we're doing this again?" She says, "I really do enjoy my space. I'm the chooser." All right, Jada, pause. Because that right there is why people are so irritated with you. Not because women want space, not because every marriage has to look traditional, not because grown adults cannot live separately. It's not that. People are irritated because that did not sound like love. That sounded like leverage. That sounded like you are not my partner, you are my option. Like, really? That sounded like I'm up here, you wait down there. Like, come on. That sounded like a wife publicly talking about her husband like he is pending approval, like a freaking loan application. And somehow I'm supposed to call that healing. No, that sounded smug. You're rude and inconsiderate, and we are sick of you, Jada. Let me say this clearly. A boundary is I need space. A power play is I'm the chooser. Those are not the same sentence. Those are not the same energy. Those are not even the same kind of woman. One is protecting peace, the other is performing status. And that is what rubbed people the wrong way. Because when you say I'm the chooser, you are not describing a relationship, Jada. You are describing a hierarchy. This quote landed the way it landed because people have watched this public dynamic for years. And we, frankly, are sick and tired of you. At this point, Will Smith has been turned into a freaking case study, a symbol, a cautionary tale, an emotional support celebrity for everybody's think piece about marriage, masculinity, humiliation, trauma, and now apparently waiting to be selected. And Jada always seems to be the one narrating the meaning of it all. She gets to define the weather. She gets to set the tone. She gets to reframe the relationship every time she wants to. She gets to speak in that very calm, polished, centered voice while the man standing next to the story somehow keeps losing his dignity. That is the part people are reacting to, Jada. Because after a while, it stops sounding like truth. It starts sounding like public management of one person's image at another person's expense. And here's why I'm going to make some people uncomfortable. Misandry is not always loud. It is not always somebody screaming, "Men are trash." Sometimes it is quieter than that. Sometimes it sounds like this: a man's embarrassment is fine. A man's humiliation is funny. A man's privacy is flexible. A man's dignity is negotiable. And if the woman speaking sounds evolved enough, people will excuse almost anything. That is what a lot of people are actually noticing here. Because if a man got on camera and said, "Yeah, I enjoy my space. She's not moving back in. I'm the chooser," people would drag him to the dirt. They would call him arrogant. They would call him controlling. They would call him emotionally abusive. They would say he was treating his wife like a pet waiting by the door. And they would not be wrong. So, why does the meaning magically change when a woman says it with moisturized confidence? And really good Botox and filler, I have to say. I have to say, Jada, your filler and your Botox is looking quite nice lately. But really, Will Smith is literally a public punching bag for you, Jada. And I think that is what makes this especially nasty. Will Smith is not just her husband at this point. He has become a public object lesson. Every revelation, every soundbite, every fresh interview angle, every let me explain where we are moment. And somehow the lesson is always taught on his body, his image, his reputation, his emotional posture, his manhood. People keep acting like because of Will Smith is famous, rich, successful, and flawed, that means he can absorb endless public diminishment without it meaning anything. But humiliation does not stop being humiliation because the person has money. Public disrespect does not become noble because the person being disrespected is a man people think should be able to take it. That is the loophole. That is the whole loophole. Let's sit on that phrase, I'm the chooser, which is the real issue. Oh, so this is not mutual. This is not, we are figuring things out. This is not, we're in a different season. This is not, we both need space. No. This is selection language. This is casting call language. This is, I hold the power and you wait to see what I decide. And I know some people are going to say, she's just being honest. Baby, honesty is not the issue. You can be honest and still be disrespectful. You can be truthful and still be cruel as hell. You can be self-aware and still be self-important. Those things are not mutually exclusive. And this therapy language shield gets on my nerves. This is another thing that I am so freaking tired of. Everything ugly gets laundered through therapy words now. It's always my truth, my journey, my healing, my growth, my peace, my boundaries. Fine. But some people have learned how to wrap contempt in the language of wellness, which is pathetic to me. And because the package is pretty, everybody acts scared to call it what it is. Not every cold statement is a boundary. Not every dismissive posture is empowerment. And not every public flex is freaking healing. Sometimes somebody is just being condescending in a soft voice. And that is exactly how this came off. If the roles were reversed. Now, let's do the test everybody hates because it works every time. And shout out to Fatty for teaching me this in real time lately on these paddles. And Ali too for checking me in the background when it's me making these kinds of mistakes. If Will Smith said this about Jada, what would happen? If he said, I like my space. She's not moving back in. I'm the chooser. It would be over. He would be called toxic by sunrise. There would be 10 think pieces by noon. Someone would use the word narcissist by dinner, and by midnight, people would be talking about emotional abuse, coercive control, and public degradation. So do not sit here and play in my face like this line is magically harmless because it came from a woman named Jada Pinkett Smith. That is not fairness, guys, ladies and gents. That is not equality. That is favoritism with a feminist filter. A lot of men watching this do not even care about Jada specifically. Okay? They care about this pattern that she keeps displaying. They are looking at this and seeing the same thing they feel in real life. They are expected to provide, stabilize, protect, and show up. But their feelings, optional. Their dignity, flexible. Their privacy, situational. Their humiliation, entertainment. And if they complain, they get told they are too sensitive. That is why this quote got the reaction it got. Because men are tired of being told to be more open, more vulnerable, more emotionally available, only to watch vulnerability get turned into content and closeness get turned into a pecking order. So, no, I'm not mad because Jada likes her space. By all means, move to the moon. We're sick of you. I'm side eyeing the performance. I'm side eyeing the tone. I am side eyeing this now familiar pattern where Will Smith keeps ending up as the emotional furniture and somebody else's self definition. I'm the chooser is not romantic. It is not wise. It is not deep. It is a flex, and not even a classy one. It is the kind of statement that tells the world, I do not see you as my equal in this moment. I see myself as the final authority. That is why people heard disrespect. That is why people heard your ego, Jada. And that is why some people heard misandry. Some people being me. Because public contempt for men does not always come dressed like rage. Sometimes it comes dressed like serenity. Sometimes it comes moisturized. Sometimes it comes in a soft tone with perfect wording and a centered posture. And people still need to call it what it is, misandry. So y'all tell me, was that just confidence, or was that another example of a culture that keeps finding elegant, polished, media-friendly ways to demean men in public? Because to me, that was not just a woman enjoying her space. That was a woman enjoying the power of making a man sound selectable. And that is exactly why people are fed up